Welcome back to kelusport. My name's Harry Anderson. I'm joined by very special guest Sanjay Krishnamurthi. He plays for the San Francisco Unicorns of Major League Cricket. He's also played for the East Bay Blazers in minor league cricket, and he's represented Team USA in One Day National and List A cricket. So, first question is, because someone who lives in America, I think it's very interesting, just the cricket culture that's developing. Because I've liked cricket my whole life, so I guess when did you realize that you'd be a part of Major League Cricket? Because it's a very new development, obviously.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah.
And yeah, I think I moved to the US during COVID, or well, just before COVID got serious, and then we couldn't go back to India because my family lived in India at the time,
Okay.
and then so we came for for USA camp and got stuck here, and then it was at that point that I kind of realized, okay, what does my future in cricket look like here in the US? And at the time, I was 16 years old, so my focus was on like the US under 19 team and trying to make that World Cup. But yeah, and also minor league cricket is kind of what my focus was on. But then I'd say a couple of years ago was when I really thought that I could, have a chance at that major league team. And then when I heard about the rookie contracts, then I was like really, well, yeah, I was pretty certain that if I did well, I would get a chance there. Yeah.
So was that your way into the Major League? Was it the rookie contract? Because I know some people get drafted, some people are kind of like handpicked by the team. So is that the avenue you took?
Yeah, this past year, I mean, it was in the draft.
Yeah.
The last round was the rookie round. That's where I got picked. And then I got retained this year as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exciting time. And that next question kind of just builds on that. But like, what do you make of like the overall cricket culture in America? Like, what do you think kind of MLC's doing for the culture? Because obviously, I was talking to Akhilesh Bardagam the other day, as you may know, he plays for Washington Freedom. We were talking about how obviously the USA used to be Pakistan. So like, what do you make of kind of the current cricket culture in the US and how much it's changed?
Yeah, I really think that MLC and this World Cup has really increased the following of cricket in the US. I'd still say that it's mainly in the expat community, but I'd say, yeah, it's expanded. The amount of expats who are now watching cricket is greater, I'd say, because like I've been doing a couple of coaching sessions during the summer, and the other day there was this a parent walking by our session, and they went up to us, the coaches, and asked like, "Hey, my kid has suddenly become really interested in cricket.
Yeah.
How can I get him into the academy?" And I just feel, yeah, there's a general buzz. A lot of my other friends who had no idea what cricket was, now they're hearing, wait, there's this thing called the World Cup. Was there an important game going on? And yeah, I think it's definitely spreading awareness for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome because I live in Massachusetts and I had a league that I played in last year, and I would have people just kind of like standing by watching the game, so like transfixed. They'd never seen anything like it before, and they were asking me questions all about it. And yeah, and I had friends who don't follow cricket at all, and after the UAB Pakistan, like, did you see this? This is a big deal. And so yeah, I think it definitely has a ripple effect, and it makes sense because you think about like how much Americans like sports and the American sport market. Like I do get it makes sense, but it's great to see because great sport, obviously, as we know. And going back to MLC, so like how important do you think it is to kind of have the big names? Because obviously the MLC is great for domestic player growth, but how important do you think it is to have the guys like, for example, in the San Francisco squad, like Matt Short, Harris Rauf, Liam Plunkett, like how much of an impact do you think kind of those big names coming over to play in MLC has for development in the country and development of the league?
Yeah, I think it's twofold because first of all, they're attracting a lot of fans to the stadiums. You know, yeah, and new fans means probably new people coming into the sport and new kids taking up the sport. So that's what they're doing from like a brand value point of view. But then they're also helping us domestic players who are already in the system learn and grow and see what needs to be done to play at that highest level. So yeah, I think it's really cool and really important the role that they're playing.
Because one thing I always look at for America is like Messi obviously coming over. Look at that's something for
Mm.
soccer here, and there was a bit of a foundation. So like maybe there might not be a name in LLC as big as Messi just yet, but I think if you have we have some good players coming over, and obviously there's a lot of good players in the U.S. I don't want to undermine that at all. So I think that the balance is very good. But so as someone who's played multiple like forms of cricket like yourself, do you notice any kind of major difference between formats, or any formats that you prefer over others? Like what kind of goes into it when you play different formats?
Yeah, I grew up in age group cricket, playing a lot of 3 day, 4 day games, and some 50 overs, and pretty much never playing T20. It's all red ball, white
Mm-hmm.
clothes. But then coming over to the US, where it's completely changed, and I play almost all of my cricket is T20 with the odd 50 over game and no red ball cricket at all. And yeah, personally, I like it. I think that both from a fan point of view as well as a player, like it's nice to not, spend 5 days playing cricket and have that. I know the purist would say that they love Test cricket, and I do like watching Test cricket, but I think T20 is the future. And yeah, from a playing point of view, I think it's more fun to be able to express yourself, especially from as a batsman. Yeah.
Yeah, I think T20 is definitely more marketable because we talk about like breaking to the American market, and kind of like the one thing I feel like Americans who might not watch cricket, they say, "Oh, is it true you play for 3 days straight?" And you kind of have to explain to them. But I think it's definitely more marketable, and even with T20, like with the two overs, how you have all offenses, teams on offense at all times, it's like it's hard to find a moment that isn't exciting. And I see what you mean about like what cricket purists might think. I mean, my grandmother's from England. We always kind of go back and forth between like T20 and Test cricket, and I do think there's room for both. But I think it's definitely more marketable. So I see what you mean there. But so as someone who you say you've been involved in the USA, set up the USA national team. So like, how does it feel to be a part of that? Even if you're not in the current squad, how does it feel to like just be involved in that in some way with the recent success that the team has had?
Yeah, I think it's special. When uh, I made it into the 30-man probables for this World Cup team, but didn't make it to the final 15. And at the time, I was pretty disappointed, and I didn't know how it would feel watching this team play. But seeing them do so well, I couldn't be happier. I think it's really great for American cricket, and yeah, as a fan, I'm watching USA's games very closely, whereas India's games I'm not really paying as much attention this time. But if USA was not playing, I'd probably pay a lot more attention to India. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a friend. His parents are from India, but he was born here. And before the World Cup, he's like, "Oh, the U.S. they're not going to do anything, whatever." And now we're both watching the U.S. very closely. And it probably did make you feel a little better when they did beat Pakistan. We're not being selected because I think the squad's definitely very competitive.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure there'll be some big days of American cricket ahead. So one thing I love about franchise cricket is that, for example, the MLC it'll be 2 months, and then kind of the calendar every country has one. Like I'm a big fan of the Big Bash in Australia, like the South African one. Are there any kind of like franchise cricket leagues you kind of see around the world going on? You might keep an eye on, and you think to yourself like, I would love to play there one day if possible.
I mean, you can't escape the IPL. The
Yeah,
IPL is the
yeah.
pinnacle of T20 cricket, I think. Yeah. Uh, I grew up watching IPL from season two. I've been watching it very closely. So yeah, that would be incredible. But on the way the game's growing, I feel like most of these franchise leagues are competitive and a good opportunity to showcase your skills. So yeah, I'd be happy playing in any of them, really.
Do you have like an IPL team you supported, or just like big fan of the league?
Yeah, I'm an RCB fan.
Oh, okay.
We always show promise, but we haven't been able to deliver the cup yet. Yeah.
It's alright. Decent campaign this year, I believe. I didn't watch it too closely, but yeah, IPL.
Yeah, great comeback.
One thing I love about the IPL is because you have the World Cup and like in some of the earlier stages, and quite understandably so, the stadiums might not be that full. And obviously, you get to the later stages, kind of like maybe in India, Pakistan, they'll sell out. But what I love about the IPL is like almost every game I see is sold out. The fans are the whole game. They're standing up the whole game. It's like there's nothing like it with some of, obviously some of the stadiums in India. Like it's just like I've never been to India, but I'd imagine the cricketing culture there is just something else. And I think the IPL is almost like a celebration of that. So I definitely get like I think being part of that could be very special. But Just a little more of like a personal get to know question. Like, do you have any other sports besides cricket you like to watch or maybe play? Like if you had to have a second one, what do you think it would be?
Uh, I do love soccer, or like I see your West Ham
Yeah,
jersey.
yeah,
I do like, yeah, I do like soccer. I goal kept for my school in like middle school, and just like playing it with friends. Yeah, that's the main one. I've done a bunch of sports, but just for
yeah.
fun, nothing
That's fair.
serious. Yeah.
I did struggle on which shirt to wear for this interview because the cricket shirts I have an Australian national team shirt. Then I have the shirt from the team I played for. So I wasn't sure if either of those would quite cut it. So I
Yeah.
went West Ham. But
Yeah.
in do you have like a favorite cricketer of all time? Someone like you kind of like looked up to, or just do you like the way they play?
Yeah, AB de Villiers for sure. I definitely don't think that I emulate him, but I just love watching him. I think he's a genius, and even off the field, I really like the personality and the person that he is. Yeah.
That's fair. I think it's very important with athletes. I think it's getting easier these days to kind of see a bit of their personality with like everything social media these days. But so what advice would you have to any like aspiring cricketers in the U.S.? Because you mentioned that you've done some coaching. That obviously that story earlier about a parent asking you about how they can get their kid involved. So I guess what would you like give advice to any aspiring cricketer in the U.S. right now? And do you think it would maybe be, I don't want to say easier because obviously it's very difficult to become professional, but a little more straightforward than when you started?
Yeah, I think that the game is just growing here in the US. So the main thing is just to work on your skills and get as good as you can. And I think we're at a stage now where the opportunities will present themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. So I asked the same question to Akash Bodagum about the Washington Freedom. I'll ask the same to you, obviously with San Francisco Unicorns. Let's say all the MLC rules went out the window about with the roster spots and everything. If you could sign one current player from any team to the San Francisco Unicorns, who would it be and why?
Okay. I would sign Jasprit Bumrah because I think he is the one player in the world right now who can change a game every game. Like he's just consistently, I think I heard it someone say in an interview where he's like he adds 30% to every team that he is. Like yeah, the impact that he's been having recently, I would definitely add just for Puma.
I think that's a very good show because you look at like with the MLC now, like I don't think there's not a single team I would say like is a bad team. There's good players in every squad, so I think what you need is kind of those like game changers, those kind of like big game players. So very good show. So one last question: what's one goal you have for your career? Do you have kind of one overarching goal like I want to get here, or do you think you have like a few smaller ones? Because I ask this to every athlete I interview, and they all seem to kind of answer a little differently. So, what would you say is like the one main aspiration you have in the back of your head?
Okay, yeah. So the ultimate dream is to go back and play the IPL. That's the overall goal. But at the same time, I have individual smaller goals around MLC and the US national team, which I think will help me get there. But overall, I like to kind of do goal setting more as like, a process.
Hmm.
Like if I do everything in my ability, then if I don't get selected or something, then I don't really, feel too down about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a Michael Jordan quote. I believe he says, it's not about being the best basketball player of all time, but being the best basketball player you can be." So I think very interesting
Yeah.
way of thinking. But yeah, that's all the questions I had written down. Thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate chatting with you. I'll be cheering you on, San Francisco Unicorns. They have been my team because we don't MLC don't have Massachusetts don't have an MLC team yet, and I can't be supporting New York. So
Yeah.
come on the Sparkle Army, and I hope to see you in the IPL one day. That would be sick.
Yeah. Let's
All
go
right,
corns.
love to see it. Yeah. All right, thank you very
All
much.
right.
Best of
Well,
luck in
thanks for having
everything.
me.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah.